Okay, so this is a little video on how I've set up a simple green screen in the squad editor so that I can take a picture of these guys, cut it out, and then turn it into a black stencil or a black silhouette. So what you need to do first is you need to plop in a plane and then stick it on its edge and add a pure green material to it, just a color, so that you get a nice solid green object to use as your backdrop. Then you've got to put in your bot characters and set them up. I noticed with mine I had to set the behaviors all to custom to stop them doing weird stuff because they were trying to patrol or attack or whatever they were doing. The crouching ones also, they stand up until you spawn. It's only when you actually run the game that they become crouched, so be aware of that when you're setting stuff out. As I discovered with this tank, the turret doesn't show up until you've actually spawned to the game. So keep those things in mind. After you've done that, after you think you've got everything set out pretty much where you want, then it's time to go in and actually play test it to see if everything is in the right place and you haven't got one of these bots doing something odd. So we'll go and do that now. I've just spawned in. I'm going to change to a grenade so that I haven't got so much clutter in front of my screen. And you can see there's our green screen. And we can check our bots, and they're all behaving as they should. As you can see, that guy's now crouched. Here's my team 2 ones, which I've already got set out as well. These guys are all set to the same team, by the way, otherwise they'll attack each other. Now, the other thing is that my light source is always going to be from that side when I start spawning. So I've always got light on the front of them so that they're lit up nicely. So for what I'm doing is I'm going to be cropping everything at the bottom edge of that green screen. I'm going to be cropping everything underneath that or below that anyway. I took it crouched, and what I do is get yourself set in a position where you've got a nice view of the bits and pieces, and your characters are sort of, I might move this way a little bit, so they're a little bit sort of not quite all piled on top of each other. Now here's the trick. You've got to use a free look and then frame yourself up. Make sure your screen icons aren't going to interfere with anything you want to keep. Like I said, I'm going to lose at least a quarter of the bottom quarter of this frame anyway. Then the trick is use the right hand shift, not the left, but the right hand shift to do a print screen. If you use the left hand one, Windows comes up with some weird command because you're holding Alt to free look. Anywho, that bit's done. You should end up with something looking like this. As you can see, I've got debug lines in here. That's not a problem. We'll take that into GIMP and we'll get rid of them with a clone stamp tool. And we go into GIMP. I've already done that and I've already cropped. As you can see, I've cropped the bottom of my frame because I only wanted the top half of their bodies and things like that. And I've clone stamped away all of the debug lines and things off of everything. So the next thing to do is to go into your selection. I'm going to unselect it all to show you. Go into your selection tool and go by color, select by color, and then in GIMP, if I click and I scroll right, it will select more and more and more green until you get to the point where it starts to select the wrong bits. You need to find a little sweet spot about there, let's say. Okay, so we selected all the green. We've got to do now is got to go up and invert that selection. So we've now got the colored area selected. We want to copy that. Then we want to create a new canvas, and we want to paste as a new layer. So we go to a new layer there. We can now delete the background layer because we don't need that anymore. And this image here becomes your canvas for the rest of your picture. So we've done this one team now. I've got a second team. I'm not going to show you all of that, but I have another second team that I've put onto the right-hand side further over this image. This was my starting point. Now, when I add in another layer, you're going to add in the next layer, paste it in as a new layer as well, and then shuffle it across a bit so that it's off the screen, or mostly off the screen, and then go up, and you need to make sure you hit fit canvas to layers until you've got a big enough canvas to support your layers and have enough room to set out how you want it laid out. Now, the next thing to do after setting it all out is to then desaturate the whole thing. You'll end up with this. So this is my second second side on, my second layer is stuck on the side there. So once it's desaturated, any of the little fringy green stuff from the selection disappears, so you don't need to worry about that too much. So it neatly gets rid of that. Now, as a desaturated image, this is great. What I did now, for anyone who wants to know how to do the silhouette, all we do is crank the contrast up to full and the brightness down to 0, and you'll get that silhouette image. All right, and that's it. And you'll end up with this, or this, or this, or this.